Tocabe was started in 2008, and what Matt and I wanted to do was help build the trend for what native cuisine is nowadays, and really bring flavors to the new millennium and really compete and show people that native cuisine is just as important as any other type of food that's out there.
We're bringing a cuisine that a lot of people don't know about and really showing what American Indian cuisine has to offer. When we went to Montana, one of our big things that we wanted to accomplish was reawakening community and family through food. And so we really wanted to showcase how can we bring families together by cooking healthy, preparing healthy meals, and sharing healthy meals together.
On first look, I mean, there's so many options here and there's so many things available, and there's a lot of really cool ingredients and there's a lot of options that we can use. And immediately our brains kind of were like, oh, we can do this, we can do that, we can do this, we can do that. And the other thing that really strikes us is that it's free, it's available. So why not use these really cool ingredients? Why not use all these items? Because there's thousands upon thousands of things that you can make. Just because it's canned yams doesn't mean you have to just cook them that way. So there's so many possibilities that are endless. Why not take advantage of it?
If you just take them for what they're at, then you may get really limited. But once you open up what you can really cook with them, it changes. You have so many options. And so it's just a matter of familiarizing yourself outside of the traditional, oh, this is just canned green beans. What can I do with these canned green beans? Well, I have peas, I have carrots. I can combine those things and all of a sudden it changes what that item was initially.
There's so many options here that stand out, and then you see canned spinach. I mean, I never would have expected to see that, and there's so many cool things that you can do with that. So I mean, just running through here, I think there's several points where like, what, this is awesome, I want to use this.
The package provides a lot of great choices and a lot of good foods, but just like anything else you want to supplement. When we went to the grocery store, we were able to find all the spices that we wanted. We were able to build a pantry in 10 minutes by selecting our spices that all cost about $1 to $1.50 a piece. We walked away with handfuls of spices that are gonna stay in our cabinet for months at a low cost, gonna bring a lot more to your food and a lot more to your meals at the end of the day. That's the fun part about bringing the spices in, is because we can give you one ingredient or one protein and you can make any dish out of it. So if you were to take the ground beef from the package, depending on the spices, you could make tacos or you could make a bolognese sauce.
Supplementing fresh ingredients with the package, we feel is very important because not only does it stretch the package, it also brings whole food into your life. So you're able to stretch the dollar, add nutritional value. You're also able to maybe hide some ingredients that your kids may not want to eat. So if it's fresh vegetables, you're able to put those into your food and you're able to increase the wholeness of your food.
A lot of times people don't eat at home because it takes too long. There's more dishes to clean, so it helps push them away, especially after a long day. Cutting 5 or 6 onions, cutting 5 or 6 peppers, keeping them in a Tupperware. In the evening, depending on what meal you're gonna make, you can just pull those out. Your prep work is already done, which is gonna hopefully help you cook meals at home because you've already done the work that will speed the process of cooking your meals.
So now that we have all our vegetables prepped, we're gonna go on to our proteins. We're gonna cook ground beef. We're gonna season that really simply with salt, pepper, and garlic. The reason behind that is because we're gonna show you how we can transition one item into multiple items. So we can make ground beef tonight, whatever's left over, we can put in the refrigerator, we can save that for later, and we can cook tomorrow, the next day, and the next day by bringing it back to temp and cooking it with other items. So first thing before we cook our beef is we get our pan nice and hot. When we throw the beef in, we want a nice sear, we want it cooking right away. You never want to cook on a low heat because when your grease comes out, you're going to kind of boil your meat. You don't want that. You want to cook it at a higher temperature, not too hot so you burn everything, but high enough that it's really cooking everything down, releasing all your grease. So we're going to start with a little oil that we got at the warehouse earlier. Not too much, just a pinch. It's always easy to add a little bit more. Once you add too much, you can't take any away. So our pan is nice and hot. You can see it's just starting to smoke. And then you can hear it starting to cook. Nice wooden spoon here. So now that our beef is cooking, we're gonna season really simple with salt, pepper, garlic. That's kind of the trifecta for what you're doing on your meats, okay? Always season when it's still kind of raw, when it's still red, because you're gonna cook that seasoning into the meat. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get a nice bit of pepper in here. And then we have some sea salt, okay? Now we need to be really careful with our salt, okay? We don't wanna over season on the salt, just a pinch. And then we have minced garlic. Garlic is always a key ingredient at the end, okay? So we can do some tacos with this.
Okay.
We could do lettuce wraps with this. We could do chili with this. We could do a shepherd's pie with this. Basically any meal that you can think of with beef, you can use this for. All right, so our beef's been cooking for about 4 or 5 minutes. It's now finished, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna separate it out to simulate us starting a new meal. Okay, so there's a couple options we can do for this shepherd's pie. We can use the onions that we've already diced.
Okay.
But I'm gonna show you something different I think is gonna be pretty neat in case you're in a hurry, okay?
All right.
So you can take an onion that you already have halved, cleaned, ready to go.
Right.
We're gonna get a cheese grater here, and all we're gonna do is go down. And cut right down the middle. You can cut these into just little guys, little strips. And again, we want these to be really small guys, okay? Because we're gonna cook these down with the carrots and onions. So the more similar they are, the more even they'll cook, okay? Especially since we're gonna cook these guys at the same time. With them being shaved down, they're gonna cook really clean and smooth together, okay? I wanna use just a little bit of oil because we don't wanna burn our vegetables. So we want just a little bit, we don't need a lot, okay? So we're just gonna throw that in. We wanna get those vegetables started cooking, okay? We're gonna do carrots and onions first, okay? Because we really wanna render those down. You might even get a little caramelization on that. Let's lightly season this. Just a little salt, little pepper. The key for that is you want to season as we go. You never want to season at the end because you're not going to get a good overall product. At the same time, you can over season if you do it all at the end. If we do it as we go, we'll get a nice even flavor, okay? We have these cooking for a minute or two. These are starting to break down, so now we want to add in our celery, okay? There we go. So we have all of our vegetables cooking down. They're starting to get pretty dry, okay? So we're cooking them quickly. We may need a pinch more oil. So again, we don't need a lot. You don't want to put in too much. You just need enough to keep these vegetables cooking without burning. Perfect.
Do you think I'll
Just a little bit. There we go. Don't need a lot. We're cooking in a bunch of ingredients that a child normally wouldn't just jump after. Carrots, celery, onions. But what we do is cook these in. We're hiding them in our beef. And then once we put it in our pan for our shepherd's pie, we cover it with mashed potatoes. They're never gonna know what's in there. You get good nutrition into the kids. You get great vegetables. Okay. It's a perfect way to continue cooking in good, healthy ingredients with getting kids to eat it. So now we're gonna add in the beef that we've already cooked, okay? So I'm gonna grab that. Let's just throw it all in there, okay?
Okay.
Set our bowl aside. Again, we got a nice heat going on in there. We're not going straight traditional shepherd's pie here. We're kind of making it our own. That's the fun part about these recipes, is we're making all these recipes our own. So you can do whatever you like. You can add more. You can take out. Totally up to you, okay? So the key at this point, now that we've got the beef cooked back in, and again, we talked about seasoning as you go.
Right.
We're gonna grab some taster spoons. We're gonna see where we're at. If we need to add a little more garlic, we'll add a little more garlic. If we wanna add a little salt or a little pepper, we're gonna do that. Maybe hot, watch out. What do you think?
I would probably say just maybe a little pepper.
Little pepper?
Yeah.
Let's add a little bit of garlic in there as well.
Okay.
And the reason that I say I don't want to add any more salt, go ahead, you throw that garlic in there, is because we're gonna top this with a little Parmesan cheese, okay? There's a lot of salt in that.
Okay.
We don't wanna go overboard, but we're gonna get some salt from that, okay? So that's why we're not gonna add any more salt to our mince here. Okay. When you're planning out what you're gonna make, know what your ingredients have. So these cheeses we're gonna add, this Parmesan, it's gonna have more salt. So we don't wanna add a lot of salt in here. We don't want our dish to become overly salty, okay? So we're planning ahead in what we're cooking, okay? Right. We got a nice mince going here. What I'd like to do now is what I think we have in all of our refrigerators is some Worcestershire sauce, okay? We're just gonna add a little bit of flavor in there, okay? So we're gonna grab that. I'm gonna set my spoon aside. We're just gonna sprinkle some in here, okay? This is my last recommendation before we finish this off, okay? Let's taste one last time, okay?
Okay. That's really good.
Think we're good?
Oh yeah.
Perfect. Okay, the last thing that we're gonna do, we're just gonna deglaze this pan.
Okay.
That means we're gonna pull all the flavor that's stuck to the bottom, everything that's in there that we wanna cook in to our overall mince, into our shepherd's pie, we're gonna pull off the bottom.
Okay.
Now you can do that with chicken stock.
All right.
We're just gonna do it with a little water, because
That's what we have. Right?
that's what we have available, okay?
Yeah.
So we're just gonna throw a little bit of water in there. So any of those nice bits that are stuck on the bottom that are real flavorful, we're gonna pull those off, we're gonna add that in, it's just gonna add more flavor to our overall dish. And also, it's gonna cook in the final ingredients. We're gonna pull everything together before we throw it in the oven. All right, so we got everything in there. We got our Worcestershire sauce, we're deglazing. What I'd like to do real quick is add some quick seasoning, okay? All right, so I think we're just about ready. Now again, we're gonna taste as we go. So let's taste one last time, because this is our last chance before we throw it in the oven. So we had fresh potatoes earlier that we got at the warehouse. We could use those if we wanted to cook those down.
Okay.
But let's say we don't have as much time, we want to do something a little bit faster.
Right.
We're gonna grab these guys
And we got these from the warehouse?
from the warehouse.
Okay.
Instant mashed potatoes, these are gonna work just as well, okay?
Right.
This may speed up our process so we don't have to go through the peeling of the fresh potatoes, boiling them off, smashing them down. We're
Right.
gonna use these guys, they're gonna taste just as good.
Right.
Okay? We got some water going. We're gonna throw a little bit of our high temp milk that we got. Again, all this came from the package we got earlier at the warehouse. Our milk, our mashed potatoes, everything, okay?
Awesome.
So we're gonna throw our potato flakes in
Right. And they just instantly start to absorb all that good
immediately,
liquid. Yeah.
immediately, okay? So then we just stir these guys down.
Right.
And we have mashed potatoes. When we're talking instant, we're talking instant, okay?
Okay.
So I'm gonna grab my beef here. Just gonna scrape it into the bottom of the pan. So we're gonna just kind of make a nice even coating of the bottom. Let's grab our mashed potatoes here. Well done. Looks really good.
Yes.
Okay, so the last little finishing touch, and again, you don't have to do this in the recipe, but we're gonna do it. We're gonna throw a little Parmesan cheese on top,
Okay.
okay? Just put a little in my hand here. The reason for that is I wanna break it up. Just gonna sprinkle it on top.
Oh, it smells great.
All right, so while the shepherd's pie is in the oven, we have some leftover mashed potatoes, we have leftover beef. What are we gonna do with them?
You know, I think, with mashed potatoes, meat sauce and pasta, but let's make it's an Italian style pasta called gnocchi.
So what's step one?
Step one is where we can start really cooking down our vegetables for our meat sauce.
You work on the pan,
Okay.
take the onions, I'll cut your carrots. How's
All
that
right,
sound?
definitely. So what I'm gonna do here is add just a little oil, about a cap full of oil. It's an easy measurement for us. So what we're doing here is we're just browning our onions and getting a nice color on them. I'm gonna take this without.
Okay. I'll get those for you.
So again, we'll season as we go. So now that we have our celery cutting, I'm gonna add just a little salt to start to pull out the moisture in those vegetables.
Okay. How much salt do you add?
It's really a little at a time, and it's really to taste.
All right, so we got our celery done.
Right.
So you want to throw this in now, or do we wait?
No, let's put it in there and
Okay.
start cooking. Vegetables are looking really good. They're getting nice and tender. They're starting to get a little color. So let's get the ground beef, and then while I'm cooking that ground beef, why don't you start on some garlic? Now,
Okay.
if you don't have fresh garlic, you're more than welcome to use powdered garlic. Again, we want to add the fresh flavor because we have it available to us. But sometimes, again, we don't have that available. So powdered garlic's absolutely fine.
Okay, perfect. All right, so here's our ground beef.
Yep.
I'll work on the garlic.
I'm gonna take this ground beef and I'm gonna just start cooking it, and we'll season again as we go.
Okay. When do we add the garlic in?
Well, I like to add it once my meat is basically finished cooking, and I'll just push my meat to the side and create a hot spot in the pan, and then I'll put my garlic in just so it doesn't burn.
Okay.
Because you can get a really bitter flavor and it will just ruin your whole entire dish.
Okay.
So the meat's cooking. Again, I'm gonna season it using fresh black pepper just because we have that available. Again, if you have just already ground black pepper, that's absolutely fine. We're using sea salt. We like to use sea salt or kosher salt just because the granules are bigger. And that way you can kind of gauge your salt a little better.
Is the flavor better?
I like to say it is.
Okay.
So we're gonna start to gnocchi. So gnocchi is basically just a flour and potato pasta.
Okay.
And the flour basically binds and holds the potato together. So we're gonna take our potatoes, and just put them in the bowl nice and simply like that.
Okay. Then I'm just gonna grab a measuring cup here. And...
Yeah, and we'll kind of, it's kind of by eye and by feel.
Okay. So we'll do like half cup at a time.
Right, and let's see where that's at.
So, is this any healthier than if I were to just buy gnocchi at the store?
It's gonna be a lot healthier because you're actually touching it and you know what's going into the product.
Okay.
We got our ground beef that's almost finished here. I'm gonna push it over to the side, kind of create a hot spot to start rendering this garlic, to start cooking this garlic. Garlic's in. I'm gonna just add a little bit of oil again. Not too much.
Oh, you can smell that garlic.
Yeah, it's really good. So again, I added that garlic in towards the end, so I didn't burn it.
Okay.
And now you can make a choice from here. Do you want your sauce to have a little spice to it or not? You know, I love a little spice.
So what would we add for spice?
Well, traditionally, you can add some crushed red pepper.
Okay.
You know? And you may have a pizza packet laying around. You may not have it in your shelf, but you know what? If you have it, I would use it. Now, you don't need a lot.
Okay.
You just want a nice little heat in the background. Oh, that looks excellent.
That look okay?
Yeah, it looks like a good dough. It's nice and firm.
So if we're gonna do this, we definitely want to use the whole wheat flour, right? Because using a white flour isn't gonna give us the health benefit than, let's say, a whole wheat flour. So we want to limit our intake of flours and refined flour. So that's why we draw in the whole wheat flour.
Yeah,
right?
your body breaks it down a lot slower, and so it's not constantly converting into sugar, raising your glycemic levels.
Okay.
Right? So I'm just gonna take my sauce, add that in. And you can add more tomatoes if you like, or not. I mean, you have to cook how you like to eat.
Okay. I like that.
So we have our sauce cooking. I'm gonna actually add a little bit more sauce. So so it's gonna just be, from our warehouse, we have a little spaghetti sauce.
Okay.
That's a little more liquid. It's just gonna add a little more flavor and a little more body to our sauce.
Okay.
So we're gonna add a little bit of water into our sauce.
Okay, so why do you add water to the sauce?
It's just gonna thin it out a little bit and allow it to cook and allow the flavors to kind of just marry.
Okay.
And we got some basil, dry basil. We also have some dry oregano, and I think we'll add them because I think they'll add a nice classic flavor.
Okay.
And the oregano especially is really intense. A little bit goes a long way.
Okay, so be careful to not over season with that.
Yeah.
Okay. You want me to just kind of cut this down?
Right.
And then, this is actually something fun for the kids, right?
Right, this is something that I would get their hands involved because kids love to cook, and this is something that they can really have fun with.
All right, so what are we thinking? Is that a pretty good size?
I think that's a good size. You want to have some bite to them.
Okay, so I'm thinking about an inch at a time here.
Yeah, I think that's perfect.
How's that?
That's perfect.
We just want to make a little shape for them?
Right.
How's that look?
That looks awesome.
So how do we cook it?
All right, we got boiling water here. We're gonna just put that gnocchi into the boiling water, and once it starts floating to the surface, it's basically done. So now the water's boiling.
Okay.
We'll take the gnocchi, and we'll just put it right into our boiling water. Our gnocchi's done. It's done boiling. They've all floated to the surface.
Okay.
So they're ready. So we're gonna just take them out.
So once they float, they're cooked all the way through. Is that what it is?
Yeah, they're probably a little undercooked, what you like, but they're so hot they're gonna continue to cook.
Perfect. So we wait for that to be done. We put it on this, and we can eat.
Yeah, I mean, this is basically done, so let's just put it on there.
So what are we waiting for?
Yeah.
Ooh. You know what I forgot? I didn't make enough for you, so you can work on that. Earlier today when we were at the warehouse, there's a new item that we felt like we had to use, and that's a pork chop. Immediately our brain started running around thinking about all the fun items that we can make with a pork chop. So we think that's really important, especially as a new item, that we should work with that. So let's make some pork chops for dinner.
Right. So we have our pork chops. So what we're gonna do, before we like to sear any of our meat, we like to just pat it off and dry it and get a nice clean and dry surface, or else what happens is they start to boil and they don't sear. Here's a nice simple spice blend that we have. We have chili powder, we got garlic powder, we have salt, we have pepper, we have some cumin in there. So it just is nice. It has a nice floral, has a little heat to it, but a nice complexity. So why this meat is getting the flavor and absorbing the spices, Ben's gonna make a succotash. Can you explain what a succotash is, Ben?
Definitely. Succotash is just a simple mixture, quickly cooked, of corn, beans. We're gonna throw in some bell peppers, a little onion, and some tomatoes. So I'm gonna get this cooking. We got our pan hot, okay? We're gonna grab our oil again.
Okay.
And as we've been doing all day, we just want to start with the capful, okay? Right. We don't want to go overboard on the oil, just a little bit. Get that in there. That's just going to help the cooking process, okay?
All right.
Get that oil in.
Now, can succotash be anything, or is it just specifically the corn, the beans, and the bell peppers?
You can make it anything you want, but succotash is going to have corn. It's going to have beans. You can add in other ingredients. That's why we're adding in the onions. You know, you can add in your bell peppers, you can add in your tomatoes. You can really add in whatever you like, but definitely some corn and some beans from the get-go, okay?
All right.
So as we've been doing all day, we want to simply season. Again, very lightly season. Okay, so we're gonna let these cook down a little bit, and then we're literally just gonna add ingredient by ingredient, okay? So I'm gonna add some of my bell pepper, because I wanna let those cook down a little bit.
Right.
So I think that's good there. What I'd like to do is add a little bit of my corn in.
Okay.
This is where we add some canned ingredient, okay?
Okay.
It's gonna add some good flavor, some good color. What's fun about a succotash is it's got great ingredients, it's got fresh ingredients, it's got great color, and amazing flavor at the end of the day, okay?
Awesome.
And since those are already done, it doesn't take long to cook the corn in, okay? So we just wanna start kind of marrying those flavors in. This is a good point to add a little bit more seasoning, okay? A little more salt, possibly a little more pepper. Looked like I put a good amount of pepper in earlier, so I'm not gonna add more right now, okay? Okay, so we got those cooked down. I'm gonna add some of these big red kidney beans. We're gonna throw those in. Again, these are cooked. They're already done. So it's not gonna take long. But you literally just want these to get a little hot, okay? As you can see, you're starting to get a lot of good flavor, really hearty textures. We'll let those come up to temp.
I noticed that the ingredients that you used out of the cans aren't in any liquids.
So that's really important. If you're gonna use canned ingredients, canned corn, canned peas, canned beans, whatever it may be, you wanna rinse those off. You wanna get all that excess water and solution that they come in, you wanna get that out. One, you don't need to cook with that. If you need some liquid, just use some water, use some chicken stock, whatever you may have. But you don't want any of those off flavors, and you don't need all that additional salt that's in that liquid, okay? One thing I do want to add is a little garlic salt, okay? We got a lot of heat in this pan, so we don't need to worry about having that heat on. So we're just gonna sprinkle a little in.
All right, so then while that's finishing cooking, then I'm gonna start my pork chops then.
Perfect.
So I have my pan where it's about smoking hot. Again, we're gonna take a little bit of oil. Get that oil to the point where it's just about smoking. Always lay your pork chops away from yourself.
There you go. So how long do you think those are gonna take to cook?
I wouldn't say more than 2 to 3 minutes at the most each side.
Each side, okay. So while that cooks, then I'm just gonna toss in my tomatoes, okay? The one thing I love about this is it's so colorful and flavorful. I mean, you have almost every color of the rainbow in there. Whoa, don't want to lose that guy.
So it seems to me you can either eat this hot or cold.
Oh, you can eat it, yeah, however you like. You can eat this just on its own in a bowl if you like. And again, I mean, look at how many healthy ingredients you have in there.
These are basically ready to flip here.
Okay.
You got
yeah.
nice, beautiful crust on them.
Yum. Wow.
I'm gonna let them sear for about a minute or two. Basically turn off the heat, let them rest. While this is finished coming up to temp,
Okay.
we're ready to plate and we're basically ready to serve.
So we want to let these rest as long as we cook them. So if we cook them for 2 minutes each side, 4 minutes, we want to let them rest for a minimum of 4 minutes. The thing about that is by letting them rest, you're gonna let the meat take its natural juices back in. If you cut it immediately, all that juice is just gonna pour out, and it's gonna become dry. So the key is, if you cook it for 5 minutes, let it rest for 5 minutes. So while that's finishing, let's taste this real quick and we'll get this turned back on, okay?
Yep.
Good?
I think it's good.
Perfect. So while those rest, we're gonna bring this back up to temp. We added that garlic a little later, so this
Okay.
is gonna finish cooking that garlic in. And also this is gonna start to break our tomatoes down, but we still wanna keep them fresh, okay? So just give it a minute, plate it up when the pork chops are done, and we're ready to eat.
All right.
And we got a lot of food here, so we're just gonna pour it right on top. And now we got pork chops and succotash for dinner.
Healthy, quick. It took us about 7 minutes.
The purpose of chatting with the high school students in Montana was really to find out what are their habits when it comes to eating and family, and really understand where they're either eating healthy or where they're not eating healthy, and really try to talk them through ideas and understand they have the confidence and power within themselves to make healthy choices.
What we do is we learn from those that have had these recipes forever and they've been passed down. You know, it's, as we all know, many stories that were passed down is the oral tradition. Food is the same way. You know, you think back, like your grandma was always a pinch of this, a dash of that, whatever it may be. It doesn't always have to be perfect. It doesn't always have to be, you know, what you're expecting, or it doesn't have to be restaurant quality. You know, you hear that all the time, and it doesn't. The way that we always think about it is if you put in the ingredients that you like, you know, like you're saying corn and potatoes, and whatever you like, if you put it in and you attempt it, and it doesn't work out the way you want, at least you know you're gonna eat it because it's all the food that you like. And that's the fun part about cooking, is there's no right or wrong. And I mean, for us, like he said, you know, we're not trained, so you can learn from grandma, you can learn from, you know, school, you can learn from anywhere. You can learn from the women in the cafeteria here. You know, there's eagerness behind the food, which is really cool.
We needed to know about the kids. We had to learn about the kids. They had to learn about us. And then we were able to open the doors with one another to the education and the communication about food.
If you can cook for yourself, you know, occasionally, why wouldn't you? How do you feel when you make something for yourself? Yeah, you feel good about it. I mean, that's how I feel. You know?
Right, but that's part of learning. That's part of it. It's not always going to taste exactly how you think it's going to taste.
If you look at the recipe and you're like, that's what stops a lot of people from cooking things is, well, I don't have paprika. So the only thing that limits you is kind of just saying, I can't do it. And there's no messing up.
The biggest challenges that these kids are facing is trying to still be high school students, but also think about eating healthy, because when you're in high school, you just want something quick. You know, the easier solution is to eat fast food. And so how do you break that habit and form that discipline to say, you know what, as much as I would like to eat that hamburger, this is really the best option for me, not just for today, but for tomorrow and years to come.
You think you'll cook for yourself on a daily basis?
I do it on a daily basis right now.
You do? If you could do that today, would you go home and do it?
Yes.
Do you guys know how to make fry bread?
Yeah. Yes.
Have you ever thought of like a fry bread pizza?
That'd be delicious.
So you can, instead of having the, let's say instead of frying the bread, you know, if you have an oven, you can make a fry bread pizza, you know, and that's a healthier way. If you know how to make the dough, right? What's stopping you from making a pizza there?
Yeah, so like you can take your dough and instead of like, let's say you're like, oh, I don't want to you know, you don't want to get oil hot or you don't have enough oil, you can just roll it out, right? And you can throw it in the oven
Put it on
with
the
any
cooking
toppings
tray.
you have, right?
Yeah.
Then you got your pizza rolls.
Right. Exactly. That's
Right?
it. That saves your time. You can even almost like make a calzone.
You can make like a pizza pocket.
Yeah. Hot pocket. Right
Or a
there.
hot pocket, that's what it's called. Yeah.
I think we were able to get them to open up and tell us things that they weren't normally willing to tell their teachers. We did find that out afterward, that some of the kids opened up to us more than they had with some of their teachers. So we were able to build that comfort level with them, where we were really able to take a lot away from them. And I think they were able to take a lot away from us.
Hopefully I'm open my own restaurant.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. You need an internship. We have a restaurant. If you want to come all the way down to Colorado. We have mountains too.
We got lakes.
Put that in.
So you're gonna do culinary school then?
Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of cooking do you want to do?
I'm not too sure yet.
Yeah. We'll find that as you go.
Yeah.
Experience. Yeah.
I think we took a lot away from them. We went into it knowing that they had their struggles, they had their hardships. But I think what we really learned is, just like any other kid anywhere, they had a strong desire to do more. They had goals that they wanted to reach, and they can reach those goals if they just strive for them. I really walked away with the feeling of success, that those kids can do whatever they like without limiting themselves. Our goal with the cooking demo was to show kids that they can make things at home, but also they can make things that they like. They can make things that they enjoy. And so what we really focused on was the ground beef and cheese, because ground beef will be a good protein for them. And at the same time, we don't want to take everything away from what these kids like. Cheese is something that we all enjoy. So what we wanted to do was incorporate those two ingredients and make multiple options.
We're gonna make nachos, okay? But what we're gonna do with the cheese, we're gonna show you how that shredding the cheese down, like we said, you can prep stuff on Sunday and have it all week. We're gonna show you how you can shave this down and make it into a couple different items, okay? Your only task is to shave this whole block of cheese. No, I'm just kidding. No. Shave a good amount, you know, you wanna fill it up and making sure you're staying on there, okay? So again, we're planning like we're making this for the week, okay? You get to make our ground beef. Okay, so we're gonna make nachos.
Okay.
So what should we put in our beef?
Spices.
What kind of spices do you want to put? Ideas? Any ideas?
Paprika.
Paprika, perfect. So we're gonna do paprika and chili powder maybe?
Yes.
Chili powder, how about salt, pepper?
Yes.
Crushed red pepper, it seems like you guys like spicy food, okay. So Matt, you wanna help her with that?
Yep. Tell me how much to add.
Just a tad bit.
Just a tad?
Yeah.
So basically what we're gonna do is make refried beans. How simple is that, okay? So basically the beans are super easy. Refried beans, what are they? They're crushed beans, okay? So all we did was speed up the process, all right? So the reason that we're showing you this is you can make this a snack, you can make this a dinner. Also, we wanna show you a couple different ways to use the cheese. Also, again, what we're trying to show you is things that are simple to do at home, okay?
So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna make a simple dice on our tomatoes. So we'll just cut off the end we don't need. Hand position, just nice, simple. Again, flat. Turn it for flat. So we got our tomatoes. We have our onions. I'm just gonna quickly get a little cilantro. Dice my cilantro really quick. So we got our tomatoes. We have our onions. Cilantro. Just need a little bit of cilantro. So jalapeno, if you want to remove the seeds, just carefully, you can run your knife edge underneath the jalapeno seeds. You can just pull that out. So now you don't have any seeds, right? And then if you're gonna cut with chilies, just make sure you wash your hands afterwards. So we have you know, if you want to, we prefer using fresh limes for this, but if you don't have it, we only have the lime juice today. So that's what we're gonna use. So I'm gonna add a little salt. And so we like to taste, just really quick,
Ooh, yeah.
see what we need.
I always like to put a little bit of cheese down first. You gotta say, this is something that makes everyone at home happy. This is also a good family meal. Everyone can just dig into it. You can make tray after tray after tray of this stuff.
You know, if you have canned refried beans, go ahead and use those.
You can also melt this cheese down and you can make mac and cheese. This is a great time to hide ingredients. This is a great time to add in peas. This is a great time to add in green beans. It's a great time to add in carrots. Whatever you want your kids to eat, if you put it in there, they're gonna eat it because they're like, woo, mac and cheese, I love mac and cheese. All right, Mom, you made mac and cheese. Nachos are cooked. The thing that we always like to point out is some of this may seem like super easy, or like, I know how to do that. We do know how to do it, but there's other ways to do it, and there's other ways to overlap ingredients. And like I was saying, we don't always want to surpass the simple. This is simple, but we surpass it for something that's like even easier, but it's not necessarily that much easier. This is just as easy, okay? We have our melted cheese. We have egg noodles. In 5 minutes, we just made mac and cheese. How hard was that? We used milk, we used cheese, and we made noodles. The other cool thing about this is you can make these ahead of time. We made these earlier today and they're sitting here, we put a little oil on them so they don't stick together. You can keep these for several days. You can turn this into a casserole. It's literally like 3 ingredients. Again, everything that we're at least attempting to show you is that these ingredients cross and overlap one another. So all these ingredients, like we said, if this is all we had in our house, look at the things that we're able to come up with right now, okay? All these ingredients overlap. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna overlap our egg noodles. What we've tried to show you is things that you already know about and that are really simple. What we wanna show you is how you can just come up with an idea and try it, okay? Try and be creative in the kitchen, okay? Don't be afraid to make mistakes. So what we're gonna do is something that we've never done and something that we thought of about an hour and a half ago, okay? So we're gonna see how it goes, but that's what we wanna show you is it could be awesome, it could fail, but we're gonna try it, and also we're gonna continue overlapping all of our ingredients. So we're gonna start with our egg noodle, okay? But we want protein, so we're gonna use our chicken this time, okay? You're opening your chicken all the way up like a book, and it's gonna cook much faster and cleaner, okay? So we're gonna make our own peanut sauce, okay? So when you see this in the cabinet, you think, peanut butter, I'm gonna make sandwiches. Well, what we're gonna try and do is make a peanut sauce. This is where we're gonna extend some ingredients, but again, this is stuff that most of us may have at home. A little bit of soy sauce, a little bit of our lime juice. So we're gonna add a little milk and try and make it a little creamy, give it a little bit like richer flavor to that. Now the thing I wanna point out when you're using soy sauce is remember, this is really, really salty. Okay, so if you get a lighter soy sauce, you may get a different flavor, okay? So you have fresh ingredients, bell peppers, onions, fresh chicken breast. You got your noodles, and then you could use this, but we're gonna extend that and make it a little different, okay?
When we made the Asian peanut sauce, that was something we've never made before. And that was the chance to show that we're being confident in ourselves, and this could turn out or this could not turn out, but let's not deter ourselves from trying something.
So then what we're gonna do is now that we got them basically fully cooked, we're gonna cut them down in strips.
So I'm just gonna add a little oil to my noodles. Mix that around. Take a little bit of my peanut sauce. Add a little more of my soy sauce straight into my noodles. Matt's done. Tosses it right in. So we made kind of our own little take on an Asian dish, okay? We made our own peanut sauce, we used our leftover egg noodles, we cooked chicken breast, we have fresh peppers in there. You're done. How simple is that, right?
With the potluck, it was a great opportunity to continue to build friendships and get together and and see all the hard work that everyone's doing in the community to really put their best foot forward to eat healthy, to bring healthy options into the community and really allow everyone to grow and become healthier in their life.